GSL.
It's time for our winners match here at the GSL Code A, and it's RorO up against Panic. Both of them playing a totally different matchup than we saw before. It's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. RorO looking solid, playing against two completely different styles, whereas Panic, on the other hand, played PvPs where he was aggressive in game 1, took the win that way, and defended the exact same build in game number 2 to take his win. So I feel like getting the winners match for him was a little bit more straightforward, whereas RorO's was a little bit tougher, and he played a more impressive series. What do you feel?
I agree with you on that completely. RorO had a bit of a tougher time against Cure. Not that Cure really had him on the ropes or anything like that, but RorO had to work for the victory, whereas for Panic it looked very crisp how he came into the winners match here. The first win was basically a build order win there, a little bit unlucky also for Hurricane. Second game, Hurricane gets a very unlucky scout off. Panic is able to identify immediately what he's up against and makes all the right choices, takes that series, and we had a very, very quick victory for both of them in the best of 3. So this game, I would still favor RorO here over Panic, but Panic has impressed in the past, and he might be able to do it again now.
Yep, this is going to be on Frost, our big 4-player map. So if you're RorO, you're hoping for cross spawns, definitely not horizontal spawns, so you can get that third base up and not be pressured too easily by Panic. So Panic's going to show us, though, in a completely different matchup. This is the GSL Code A, Color Wolf.
Panic versus RorO.
The Samsung Galaxy player starts at the top left of the map after his victory against a Terran opponent with the 2-0. He's now facing a Protoss. It is RorO, of course, here on Frost, our first map in the best of 3 of the winners match in Group F. And starting to the top right, we have his opponent, the Protoss player for Team Startail. It is Panic. He was able to take down a Protoss player in the first best of 3 they played today. Was successful against Hurricane with the 2-0.
Yeah. 2-0, and both of these are actually going into 2-0s to get here. And we are spawning actually at horizontal spawns. And the reason why this is oftentimes important is that base that's to the right of RorO's base that he's going to eventually want to take either as his 3rd or his 4th, probably his 4th base, is, you know, if it's attacked by ground, so easy for the Protoss to poke in, then walk back across the bridge, and it's much more difficult for RorO to actually attack the 3rd base of the Protoss. He goes pool first here, actually, to be super safe against possible cannoning.
Yep.
I respect that.
Pool first is something that we see on Frost quite a bit, just because those bases, it's sometimes a little bit misleading how close these bases actually can be if you push out on a map like this. If you play, for example, Ultisim Stronghold, I doubt that RorO would go into the pool first. Usually there you see the hatch first for your opponent. But RorO currently in 2014 is undefeated by Protoss players. He played 3 games, all of them at Pro League, and he won against Creator Stats and Sora. Whereas for Panic this year, we actually did have only 1 game, 1 best of 3, and that was at the Code A Qualifier where he was going up against Saxtree, and he was able to win that with a 2-0.
Yep.
And he's going into the Nexus first here, followed with a Forge in his main base, which will of course also hide the upgrade policy that Panic is going to use later on.
And unfortunately for RorO, he scouts south first with his Overlord, so he's not going to be able to identify his opponent's build or location for quite some time. 6 certainly started for him on the other hand, and once he realizes where his opponent is located, he might be able to get a little bit of poking, a little bit of information found here. First cannon is started though already. And you talked a little bit about RorO's win ratio in the matchup and the players he defeated, and he is looking solid in this matchup. Right now he's playing it all late game, all the time, going into Swarm hosts oftentimes, Broodlords, and just playing a defensive style where eventually he just continues to wear his opponent down. Kind of similarly to how he played against the mech composition that we saw in Game 2 in his series against Cure. Obviously different matchup, but a very similar style. These two Zerlings barely not going to be able to get in there and see anything.
Yeah, saves them both on the other hand. And now questioning, of course, RorO, what is he going to do? I would expect the 3rd base, of course, to come up right now. I actually think he's already a little bit late on that 3rd, and that one of the reasons is that he didn't know what he was facing. But he seems to double check, and now he sees the Cybernetics, so he's actually trying to move in here. Well, Lynx is gonna take a few hits there, but with only 1 cannon and no wall, he's getting in with 5. There goes another Link. That's unfortunate for him. He would have probably loved to sneak into the main base instead.
Well, this is a great position for RorO. You can deny mining, he can be annoying. He might even be able to get a probe or two more if he micros perfectly.
You know, he still doesn't take a third.
Yeah, he's really not.
And he should realize that there's a forge in the main base. Maybe because it's all about the cybernetics core. It's all about the potential for warp gate. And him being on 2 bases, it's nice to have those units in the main or in the natural. But the third base is usually what you really want to get as fast as possible. And he doesn't have gas, so it's not like he's going into a fast attack and tries to surprise his opponent with some weird tech choice and maybe like the Nidus network.
I mean, he definitely knows it was a forged build because he saw the core was so late, right? And he saw the cannon there, so he has to know this is a build that's a little bit more delayed and it's very safe for him to take a third right now. But he's playing this super safe. He starts double gas even in his main base, or rather at his natural. But before taking a third is what I mean to say. That is most important. Where did he put that Stargate? Was that spotted? I think he saw it already. He's going to go check. I think he saw it. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he would have checked again if he didn't actually check there. So, no for us to know, but I'm pretty sure he knows. We'll see if he adds Spore Crawler soon. Zerling does finally get cleaned up.
Yeah, like it looks like he's getting the third base now. That's really, really late at 640.
Yeah, 640.
And the thing is that he is not ahead in Harvesters. It's 38 against, well, he's getting a little bit ahead right now, but in general it's 40 against 43. That's pretty decent for the Protoss player.
Yeah.
Nexus first helping out a lot here, of course. The Stargate tech is also decent, and for RorO we don't have edit tech just yet. So he's now going into lair tech. But yeah, a bit of a late third base that we see for the Zerg player here, and I'm wondering why he did that, because he must have realized upon scouting his opponent for the first time that there is not really a big chance of Panic being aggressive against the third, that he could safely take that.
Yeah, I guess he just really wants to play this one super safe. That's the only explanation I have. His Overlord will go down, and RorO actually will have to, of course, compensate for this. He's going to want to make one more Overlord, because if he loses this one and the next one pops out, he's still at 64 out of 68, which is not going to give him a lot more production.
The thing why we're talking about a late base is that usually when you see your opponents going on a Forge build, you will start to get your third as fast as you possibly can. If you see that he goes into Nexus first, we sometimes even see the third base before Queens are being built around 340. But usually with a Forge build, the first thing that you do is you drop the third base at 4 minutes into the game, sometimes at 4:20. But having it at nearly 7 minutes is really late. And RorO, of course, is, because of that, maybe getting a little bit more harvests at the beginning.
Well,
but Panic is not behind because he had that Nexus first. So
yeah.
Panic is pretty good position here.
Panic is also up against RorO's, pretty decent tech that he's pulling out here, which is the Burrow and the Burrow movement for his Roaches. The Roach Warren already way long ahead complete is going to allow him to defend this Zealot attack so easily. He already has 9 Roaches about to pop. Queen's going down a bit unnecessarily against the Phoenixes on the other hand, but the Roaches he has are going to make the Zealot attack laughable. And I think he's starting to realize, oh, okay, you've got Roaches out now. Burrow movement is going to be kind of annoying because there's no robotics tech finish just yet, and without that, he's not going to be able to handle the Roaches. The Roaches are always going to be able to outmaneuver him.
Yeah, but they won't be able to get into the base or anything. Right. We do not see a third base for Panic yet, so that's another issue here, of course. He might just go and try to do this with 2 bases, but at this point, Panic is having a pretty good game. And
yeah, I mean,
don't really like a lot of the things that RorO does right now seem a little bit questionable, especially since he's in a spot where he lost Queens, he lost Overlords. He's now having Roaches in the middle of the map, trying to flank maybe or catch reinforcements.
He doesn't realize how many Zealots there are here just yet. I mean, it's a massive Zealot count.
If he focuses that third, it's gone.
I think he's going to get it for sure.
If he
just cancel there too.
If he just focuses it, it's definitely gone. But he wants to get the Harvesters first, and he gets another Queen. He goes for the Queen here. Well, he kills already the Spore Crawler, and that means that right now those Phoenixes have free reign.
Yep, the Roaches are just going to be lifted up and ignored. The rest of the Zealots attack the hatchery now, so not only does he get the Queen, he gets the hatch as well. And that Spore Crawler there on the edge is not helping out at all. And there it goes, there's the hatchery gone, and now he can trade decently against the Roaches. The Phoenixes, like you said, have free reign. He's killed not only so many Queens, but he's also picked off a ton of Overlords. He's going to trade okay against these Roaches here. And the worker count is still not too far behind right now for Panic. He's got a robotic support bay going up. He's already got the first Immortal out. Second one is started back at home. I'm liking his position a lot because it's now 2 base against 2 base, and taking that third base is going to be relatively easy for him because he already has the Observer tech out. He already sees his opponent's Burrow movement tech.
So, I have to say, so far that was a pretty weak game by RorO.
Yeah, it's looking good for Panic right now just because he's been able to do so much.
I mean, there's nothing there except Roaches. Roaches is the only thing that he has, and Roaches just don't scale well into the late game once that there are Immortals and Colossi. So, especially if you're on 2 bases, if you don't even have the production of 3 hatches, if you don't have the 3rd mineral line.
I don't even know why he's fighting here. He saw this army. He gets 1 sentry, and that's it. I don't even understand why he decided to attack that. He saw the army kill his Zergling, and he saw how many Immortals there were, and that there was an Observer. What is he thinking?
I have no idea what's happening right now.
Well,
he's going into an Infestation Pit, and I think we're going to see Swarm Hosts here, since we have upgrades to attacks, well, to the range attack upgrade. But Panic is doing a great job here. He realized that he was ahead in the game. He's getting upgrades out. He's getting additional tech. He's starting, or he's preparing a 3rd base. Those Phoenixes alone did so much damage in the game. And they were so useful. We're taking out Roaches, Overlords, Queens, Drones. Like, there's still all of them. I think, did he even lose one? I don't know.
I don't think he did.
I would love to see resources lost.
Yeah.
I would love to see the resources lost tab, because I think it is incredibly in favor of Panic.
RorO now knows this 3rd base is BS. It's a fake, and he's actually going across the map with a Colossus, 1/1 upgrades, a decent, healthy Immortal count, so many gateways in the main base, and he just wants to end the game. And that's why he doesn't start Swarm Hosts, because if he did, he probably wouldn't be able to hold here. I don't know how many cannons are actually up at the natural. I think he added a few, but this Roach counterattack is going to be a little bit annoying for him to deal with.
He can recall. There are 3 cannons, but he can also recall. Like, if that's not enough, he can always go for the recall here. Comes the burrow move, and the recall alone is gonna kill most of those units. And the 3rd is once again not existent.
Yep, he's gonna kill the natural and then recall.
Snipe the natural and go for recall. That would be his first move here, probably.
I mean,
or the safest move.
I mean, yeah, it's the safest move, but he could even maybe go into the main base and kill that and then recall, because there's units being warped in here in the main base. They're gonna buy a little bit of time, and GG, Panic. Making RorO look a little bit silly, because...
I mean, I apologize for saying that, but that was an absolute horrible game by RorO. That game made no sense. That was... maybe he misread something. I don't know what happened, but that was a bad game, and I don't think that is really representative for how RorO usually plays. Yeah, something in this game just went awry, and we don't know what. We would have to ask him to know, but like, that game did make no sense. This super late 3rd base, this I don't know,
the Burrow Roach movement that didn't really accomplish anything for him. He didn't have his defense on the 3rd base.
He moved into an army and attacked it where he knew there was an observer, because he already got attacked, and he tried to face down an army that was much bigger than his. Threw the Roaches away. He lost his base. Like, I don't understand what happened. I really don't understand it.
And this is funny, because this is the first offline loss that RorO has this year now against Protoss, and he's won against so many good players, including Sora recently. And
he donated units, like the Queens that the Phoenixes sniped. It was so obvious that those Phoenixes were moving in. And you saw them already with the Creep Tumors too.
Imagine how Panic is feeling right now. He's probably like, what? I'm 1 win away now from actually going straight to Code S against the GSL champion RorO, who's doing really well in Pro League, who has not dropped a map to Protoss yet in Pro League, and I'm the first person to beat him this year. And he's going to be feeling pretty good. The only thing he has to worry about, of course, is that Daedalus Point is our 2nd map.
Yeah. That is the obvious choice for RorO here, of course. And I expect a much better game for RorO now, and a lot, like, one that makes a lot more sense. Going into game number 2, guys, here at the GSL Code RorO versus